Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens, and this is Rock the Boat right here on UCY.TV, my favorite online network. I'm your host for the next 2 hours, and well, I guess we'll see what we can see, and see if we can't get to some people and shake them loose from this instilled hypnotism that's been put in their brains. Everybody's running around docile. You know, most of the people have been turned into sheep, and that's unfortunate. The brains have been basically destroyed. Kind of reminds me of, there was an old show back in the 70s called The Stepford Wives, or it was a movie, or made-for-TV movie, or a series, I don't know what the hell it was. But, somebody had, I think the deal was that somebody had concocted these perfect wives, basically, right? They just did their thing, but they were very well behaved and stuff. And then we have the body snatchers with Donald Sutherland and the same shit, and this is basically what the propaganda machines, the school system, the churches, the politicians have done to the people. They've turned them into these docile, little obedient things. They look like people, but they're not really people. They don't have the capacity of a man or a woman. They don't have the spine or the spirit or the mind of a man or a woman. Not a real man or a woman. They're just these carcasses kind of wandering around. And there's nothing really going on in there for the most part. It's sad. I was we last night on the Chauvin Revolution Radio, we were talking about Islam being the universal human rights new paradigm, I guess, or whatever. And and it's when you study this out, that's exactly what the deal is. As Islam has taken more countries, they've become more powerful, and it's right in their right in the United Nations documents that Islam seems best suited as a template, basically, for the universal human rights. And so now they're flooding the West with Islam. And it's not a mistake. And these aren't migrants, okay? They're infantry, okay? They're there to take over your nation without really shooting a shot off. It's the shooting will begin later. The decimation of your country will begin soon, but they have to get enough of them in there first. And then once they're inside, once they're inside your parliamentary systems and inside your school systems, inside your church systems, you're basically done. And this really is based on, it's just a rework, really, of the takedown of Russia way back when. It's the same freaking people. It's the same idea. It's about world government. And they took Russia, and it went from Russia to the Soviet Union. And then you had the European Union, and then they want the North American Union and the Asian Union. And it's the same template. It's a takedown. And it's, people are tagging Putin as this great man. I mean, he's a politician, folks, okay, which makes him a liar. And why would you be looking outside your own nation for leadership? That's mind-boggling to me, okay? But that's just propaganda, I mean, who knows who Putin is? Who knows who any of these people are? Somebody says something and it grabs your attention, and it's all about suggestion, which is about hypnotism, and it hypnotizes you. And then you believe that this man or woman is this great leader, and that if we only had a leader like that, things would be different. I don't want to puke right here at the beginning of the show, but I'm starting to gag on this stuff. You have a nation. Your nation is where you live. That's what you need to protect. Not some hopefully, oh, well, if we only had Putin, things would be different. No, they wouldn't. Russia got taken down, turned into the Soviet Union. The Iron Curtain came down so they could continue along their happy little road to world government. And Warburg specifically said in 1950 at the Senate hearings that we will have world government by consent or conquest. You're consenting. But we got a problem, he said. Being a Jew, he would know what he needs to do next, and we got a real problem here, because how the hell are we going to have a world government if we have two opposing superpowers? That ain't going to work. So the media spewed this nonsense out that the Iron Curtain is falling and the Berlin Wall is coming down, and we're all going to be one now, one big happy family. And the people cheered. Well, just the next step to screwing you forever. People just, they get, there was that movie, and I don't think I watched the movie, but there was a movie called Wag the Dog, where the media basically, it's problem, reaction, solution. Right? And the media is the one that gets the reaction through promoting the made-up problem and getting the reaction out of the people to get to the solution that was predetermined before once they created the false problem. And people still don't get that. I mean, they made a movie about it. I'm sure there's been tons of movie made about it, where the media is the main facilitator, and people will, argue with each other because you have the right-left paradigm, which is again just hypnotism. It's suggestion, and people fighting all the time amongst themselves while the boys at the top are laughing their asses off at you. Maybe the Jews were right. They called us stupid goyim, called us cattle. And cattle beasts aren't really that bright. I tried to train one once to sit up and fetch a stick, and it was going nowhere quick. Cattle aren't that bright. And we seem to be bound and determined to prove the point that we're not real bright. We fight the wars they create. We pay the interest they create. We willingly shackle ourselves. And we're actually the ones that are facilitating. We're not fighting against the world order or world government or world religion. We're actually facilitating it. They just put their plans together. Come up with some propaganda, some suggestion. You hear this all the time. Science suggests. The head of the church suggests. The new curriculum suggests. The politicians are suggesting. And suggestion, the word suggestion, is one, deception, and two, hypnotism. So the vast majority of the population has been hypnotized through suggestion. And they are basically worthless and useless to what needs to be done. Those who are already awake and understand the game and understand and took the time to understand the history that got us here are, comparatively speaking, the few. And a lot of them are frustrated and using the masses as an excuse for not getting something done. Well, if you're waiting for the masses to all of a sudden, one morning, wake up, be instantly deprogrammed and ready to kick some tail, well, you're going to be waiting a while. Now, certain factions are waking up slowly. They're coming to, but they still are in a very, 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 very weak position. They're not going to come out and change things. Now, they may go to a rally. They may hold up a protest sign. They may sign a petition. But that's not really participating. Not at the level that the participation needs to take place. So some way, somehow, we have got to gather up those who get it and can no longer be deceived. And that's the ticket, because most of these people who are half awake are still in a position of being re-hypnotized really quickly, because they're still not awake. They're still sleepyheads. And I saw this when we fought windmills, which is a total fraud. I mean, it doesn't take a long time to figure a fraud out. Now, luckily or unluckily for me, I figured that fraud out in the 70s. So when they started putting the windmills up here, I was extremely well versed in the fraud. But what I found was, my blog at that time was just getting a wild number of hits. And I was getting calls from Missouri and Rhode Island. I'm in Canada in a little town. People asking for advice, what can we do? How do we fight this? Well, you're certainly not going to fight it at your local level, because your local council is a creation of the state or the province, and they're bound in the child position to do as the parent says. And that's what they do. So if you're trying to negotiate with your mayor or councilor, you can set the fraud down in front of them so that even a complete somebody that's been over-vaccinated can understand, or over-fluoridated can understand, but they ain't going to do nothing about it. Because they're bound by the parent to do as they're told, because they're in the child position. And they do it. And then people say, well, that mayor's an idiot, I won't vote him out. Well, you're going to get the same thing the next time, because these people are all vetted. Because you who know don't stand up and put your name down. Why go to these people that have this so-called power to ask them to do the right thing when you know damn well they're not going to do the right thing? Why don't you put yourself in the position of power so then you don't have to go begging somebody to do the right thing, which they're not going to do anyways? Why don't you put yourself in that position? Then you're not begging. Now you can slam your fist down on the desk and say, I'm pissed off. And we're going to change this. And we're going to tell the parent to piss off. Because all children have to grow up at some time. At some point, the children have to grow up. And at some point, when you have an abusive parent, you're going to stand up to it. And that's exactly what your local council is. Look at it for what it is. Right? You're in the child position to them. They're in the child position to the state. Somebody's got to grow up here. And this is the problem. The whole system is set up to keep people in a childlike state through the entirety of their lives. Well, I'll get in trouble by saying this, and the government might do this or do that, and the government says this and the government says that. That's child state. That's being a child. You know you're being abused, you know you're being screwed over, but the best you can do is whine and bitch and complain about it because you haven't come of age yet. You're not a man, you're not a woman, you're a child, a little whiny child. Now, these governments were supposed to be set up, which they weren't from the get-go, but this was the propaganda, was that the people are the power. And they fell for it. And, well, you're not the power because you're in the child position. And a child is not in a powerful position. So they lied to you. They deceived you. And deception is fraud. And fraud is both against the real law and against the legal system that they created. So in other words, because they deceived you, because they frauded you, their system doesn't hold any weight. The only thing holding this mess up is the legal goon squad who now dress like paramilitary, who are weaponized big time to hold you back. I mean, just look at any police force. I mean, when I grew up, cop would walk down the street, talk to the kids, talk to the folks. They walk down the street at night after the stores are closed, and make sure that the store owners remember to lock the doors of their stores. And it was just a community looking out for a community, and that's what the police job was at that time. You know, they may have been packing a gun, but it was heavily holstered. You'd see a cop walk down the street with a short sleeve shirt and a pair of slacks, blue, usually dressed in blue. The cars didn't have big cattle pushers, or whatever the hell you want to call it, on the front end of them. They were actually rather mundane and almost, well, they weren't threatening, that's for sure. And you look at what you got now. I remember when I told a friend quite a few years ago that they were militarizing the police. Believe it, accept it. Well, all these years later, he's going, well, they're militarizing the police. Well, yeah. How long did I tell you that? 15 years ago? You know, it takes people a long, long time to get it. Christopher.
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
Well, listening to your show.
I'm not.
You know, you're talking with the government, though. Like, it doesn't take much to back them down.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, in my own personal circumstance, listening to what you've told me for the last 5 years that I've been really listening to you and learning, just by me saying no on a personal level, it backs them off for a bit. It doesn't stop them, but it backs them off.
Well, what it does...
And now if everybody did that, they might just, we might be able to just shut them down.
Well, you can, because all of the council people here, and they're scared to death of me, and I haven't threatened anybody, right? They just know I know that, you know, what's cooking, and I'm a threat to them just because I know. I mean, I backed them up a few times, but you know, like that job we did last winter, I mean, that's right on the main drag, and it was a pretty decent sized job, a commercial building, and it took them 2 months to show up at the job. The building inspector took them 2 months before they'd even come in there, and the building inspector told me, you know, I've been driving back and forth by here for 2 months. Why didn't you drop in? Well, now that I'm here, you know, I see you haven't pulled a permit. Don't intend to. Well, you know, you're supposed to have a permit. Well, the rest of you are, but not me. Right? I don't require permits. But it's simple, because I stood my ground when they tried to shut another job down out of total stupidity. You know, it took a while to get that sorted out, but in the end, you stand up. They're scared. They know what they're doing is criminal.
Well, they do hesitate. Like when they think you're just supposed to obey. When they they phone you or they send you a notice or a demand, they just assume you're simply going to comply.
Exactly.
And when you don't, first they get angry because they are your ruler.
Right. Well, they're your parent.
They're
your parent. They look at you.
They have to back up a bit, and then there's a pause.
They look at you.
They don't know how to deal with it.
They look at you.
People just comply. That's it. Okay. Oh, sorry, boss. Here you go.
Well, it's not even that. They look at you as an impudent child. That's how they look at you, as an impudent child. Right? You're not supposed to talk back to your parent. And when you do, first off, it freaks them out because they're not used to it, right? And then they get a little angry about it, and then they try to stew around how they're going to, give you a lesson. But if you stand up, there's really not a hell of a lot they can do. But the thing is, if in my town here, which is, my municipality is 12,000 people, town's 7,500. If 50 people stood up and just said no to whatever, that's over. It's done. It's done. It doesn't take a lot of people. Now, one, they'll chase around for a long time and try to intimidate the hell out of them, and hopefully you'll back down. But it goes back to that counselor that the building department went to at night, and I phoned him and I said, you know what's going on over here? He goes, yep. Now, how do you know that? He said, they were here last night. And what'd you tell them? Because I had it out with him before when he was a building inspector, and we came to terms. And I just told him, when Ron's right, and he knows he's right, not you or anybody else is ever going to back him down. So my suggestion, back off of him. And that's the whole way to fix this. Okay? There's no violence. Okay? You just stand your ground. Now, it's very difficult for one to stand their ground, right? Because the others in the community are going to be going, what's he doing? Why didn't he just do what they ask him to do, right? Because they're all little squealy children. They're just little sucky children, right? So you scare the other children, you scare the parent, right? And none of them know what to do with you. Now, you got a choice, keep standing up or submit. Once you've submitted, you've gone into the same class as you're fighting against a whiny little child, a submissive little child. And if you submit, then they win. And that just makes them more powerful, right? And so it's not a big deal to fix this. It's not a big deal at all, right? I just want to make let's see, what do we got here? I'm going to put an announcement right there, today, right here, right now. Let's see, June 17th. Let's see, okay. I will be running as an independent in the 2018. No, wait a minute here. Yes, I will be running in the 2018 Ontario provincial election as an independent. And election day apparently is June the 7th, 2018. Why? Because I got a duty to do it. Why? Because the media will be coming to me. I ain't chasing them. Why? Because I'll be going to all the all candidates meeting and I'll be able to talk to these poor little children that are feeling like they're getting screwed over by the government. Why? So I can make the other party the party candidates look like the true idiots they are. Why? Because I'm going to have fun. And it's like, I forget, it doesn't cost jack squat to jump into an election. And you get to talk to a lot of people. You get to talk to a lot of media, and you get to get some word out there. And a lot of people worried about what's going on. They got a lot of questions. They ain't getting any answers because they're reading the media, looking at the TV stations. They're not getting any information. It's the same when I ran in 2007. And the NDP candidate who had been in government, the Bob Gray government in the 90s, when that election was over, he was the first one. He was already down off the stage or whatever you want to call it. And I come down, and he come up to me, and he just looked at me and said, I want to shake your hand. Why? Because if you hadn't run, no issue of any importance would have ever seen the light of day through this election. And you took the real issues and you threw them on the table, and you had us dancing. So let's make them dance, right? If we don't take these opportunities to talk to the people, when this is an opportunity, because it's an election, this is when people supposedly are trying to hear something. If we don't take these opportunities, then we're still sitting in the scared little child position, and we're not pushing back at all. We're not trying to inform anybody. We're just sitting in our little whatever you want to call it, in our little bubbles, yammering away at each other. We got to get out to the greater public, so to speak. And elections is a perfect time to help people understand what's going on, to answer the questions, and they have many more questions now than they would have had in 2007. You know, many more questions. They've been screwed over on their electrical, they've been screwed over on their tax, they've been screwed over on their water, they're screwed over their vaccines. The kids are being taught anal sex in grade 4 or some stupid thing. We've got Islam being shoved into the schools. I mean, the number of things that is pissing people off is growing exponentially, and they don't know, one, how to do any research. They just sit there. Why are they doing this to us? Well, this is your opportunity to explain to the people why they're doing this to you and what's behind it and what you're going to do to stop it. That's what I see in an election. It's not about winning the election. It's about the opportunity to get out there and speak to people that you have no other opportunity to speak to at any other time except at election time. And you got to take these opportunities. Do I want to run in the election? Absolutely freaking not. Am I going to run an election? Absolutely yes. Because I have a duty. And anybody that's listening to this that is even 3/4 of the way awake has a duty as well. What is the point of gathering all this information and knowledge if you're not going to share it? Okay, if you're not going to share it, what do you need it for? If you're not going to give this information to people who have questions, but they don't know where to go to look for the answer, if you're not there prepared to give them the answers and show them the way, then you're of no use to anybody. So I see here that we have an election on June the 7th, 2018, and I will be running as an independent. And I will be explaining why you don't want a party system, why we can't have a party system, why the party system is a complete and total fraud and deception. And it would be talking about people's, I don't like the word concerns, but, you know, I will be looking for them to ask me questions of what's bothering them, you know. And I encourage everybody to put your hat in the ring because it's fun. It's so much fun to sit at a table full of idiots. You know, these politicians, these party politicians, trust me, are complete idiots. I've run in the damn election, and I was absolutely astounded how stupid these people really, truly are. Dumber than a box of rocks. The issues are preset by all the parties, and this is what we're going to run on. We're only going to go on things that don't matter. We're not going near real issues. We're all going to just say our you know, our little red, green, blue, orange, our little sound bites. But they're all the same sound bites, but they're only verbiage for the orange, the green, the blue, and the red. But it's all the same shit. and it's a lot of fun. You make these people sweat. Like, everybody thinks they're on board on these stupid little things that don't matter. And then you roll in there and bring some real issues forward. They go, uh-oh, now what? Now they dance. And so it's fun. And it's not expensive. And it really doesn't take that long. You know, a provincial election is better than a local election, only in the fact that you're dealing with a wider audience. Okay, you're still dealing with the people, but a provincial election where is much wider scope. You do a lot more all candidates meetings in different towns that you would never go near in a local election. So you got a much bigger run at these people. And it's fun. I mean, I really enjoyed watching the Masons pace the back wall every all candidates meeting I went to. That was funny. You know, you always get a Mason or two scoping the wall at the back of the hall, making this pathetic attempt to stare me down. You know, it's fun. It's a freaking hoot. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, people that listen to these shows that get it and do a little bit of research. I mean, you are like kryptonite to these party politicians. So get out your kryptonite and put it to these people. Because if we don't engage, I mean, if you go to a fight or if there's a football game or a game of whatever, and maybe figure skating for Trudeau. But anyways, it's a competition, and that's what this is. If it's a competition and you don't show up to the competition, they win by default. And that's exactly what we're doing by not engaging them. We're allowing them to win by default because we didn't come to the game. Politics needs to be put to sleep. Politics is what has put us in the position that we're in. We need to get rid of it. And I mean get rid of politics, period. Politics is a deception which is used to deceive people and fraud people. So we need to crush the idea of politics. You know, way back in 2007, I was on a radio show, mainstream radio show, and that's, you know, because they weren't going to allow me on radio anymore. And I was told that there's no effing way that I'm getting mainstream radio again. And so once I run in the election, the same radio stations that told me to F off are congratulating me for run and can't wait to get me on the air because they don't have a choice. They're obligated. But I remember at one radio station I was explaining why we got rid of the party politics. And make no mistake, the word party means to divide. Divide the people. And democracy is an equally ugly word. Does not mean what people think it means. But the idea was we go back. I mean, when you study a government that works, you have to go to the Aboriginal people. And I'm not just talking about the native people here in Canada. You go to any Aboriginal governmental body, and they're all laid out the same. They all deal in law, not legal. Law is simply do no harm, treat your fellow as you wish to be treated, and if you do screw up, they just don't drag you into court trying to make a buck off of you. You know, you're brought to a council, call it a court, whatever, but it's always your peers not a judge. Let no man judge you. It's a group of your peers that sit down and say, what the hell were you thinking when you did that? Oh, I was having a really bad day, man. I just, I fucking, my horse threw a shoe and my kid was giving me a hard time. I just had a bad, so I fucking just fired a rock and went through the TP. And but you messed that up, and now it was raining and it's leaking in their teepee, and what are you going to do about it? Would you mind going and fixing it? And then we're all good with it? Yeah, I'll do that. Great. Well, I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Well, so-and-so knows how to stitch a TB, so you go there and they'll teach you how to do it, and then you can do it. Fine, no problem. Now you learn something twice. You learn how to fix a TP or a window, and you learn how to make good on a wrong that you did. And now, if you decide you're not going to fix it, okay, say piss off, I ain't doing it, and then you're ostracized from the community, okay, because you have no respect for anybody, you have no respect for anything, and we don't want you in the community, and you were ostracized. And that's where the word outlaw come from, okay? You're outside the law. We haven't had law. People have no real clue what law even is. They think it's the legal system. That ain't law. That's Roman slavery. So we need to get back to that. When I was explaining all this stuff on air, why we have to get rid of the party system, and why we have to get rid of this opposing side, and get to a round table where people from their district send, they, not the party, picks who they think is the best to represent them and sends them down to the table, where everyone else sends someone from their district to the table, and they sit down and try to figure out basically, you may have lumber where you live, you may have iron ore where you live, you may have the capacity to manufacture where you live, and the idea is to bring all of our resources together for the betterment of the people as a whole. That's what a real government would be like. And then we don't have to have all these goofy, deceiving election things. And of course, you always have the instant recall. Okay, if somebody looks like they're cutting some dirty deals, then it's like the old hook, they used to use in vaudeville and that. You're off the stage, bang, and we'll replace you and put someone else from our district in there that we think we can trust. That is how a real government for and by the people works. Okay, our governments are not for the people. They are not by the people. They're not created by the people. And the outcome is always detrimental to the people. So we need to change that. And we need to basically, there's all kinds of people out there that have all kinds of questions, that they need the questions answered. Maybe they're concerned, maybe they've read something about vaccines, but, the pressure of their family or their friends, oh, that's that weird shit. No, just go get another 47 vaccinations into your kid till his head explodes or melts. The government knows. All right, and this is there's no, these people are really alone, and they need help, and you can help them by running in the elections. And again, it's not about winning. Okay, this whole thing's a mess, but it is about having an opportunity to speak to people that you would not normally have an opportunity to speak to, and try to put a seed in their head. And that's a stage that is available to everybody. And like I said, it's not expensive. When I ran in 2007 election, I did it on the very last day, which was probably the day after the media told me to F off. And I was irritated by that, and phoned the elections office and asked them what I had to do. And they told me I had to have, I don't know, it was 100 and some names or whatever the hell it was. I don't even remember how many names I had to have, but you had to get these names so that you could be a candidate. So, but that lady, I'll never forget what that lady at the election office said to me, which every now and again somebody will say something that throws you, and that threw me, because when I called her and asked her what I had to do, because this was the 3 o'clock on the last day you could get the paperwork, and I got to have all these names and be in the office, which is an hour from me, at 11 o'clock the next morning, I would have been able to say, oh, that's too much effort, right? But when I was talking to the lady from the elections office, and I said, I really don't want to do this, and she freaked me out, because that's not what I expected to hear. She said, you have to. And I go, why do I have to? And she goes, somebody has to. I goes, is it that bad? She goes, you got no idea how bad it is. So that lady inspired me to run. And so we're going like in a day, like the day after I think I got the paperwork in, which was, a few hours after I was talking to her on the phone. We got to be at all candidates meeting. I got no signs. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just know in my gut it's got to get done. And, it was the very first all candidates meeting, which is a town about a half an hour from me, up north of me. And I was a little bit nervous about this. But once you're sitting at the head table, and a couple of things that hit me real quick, and it really kind of irritated me and saddened me a bit, was I looked at the people who'd come out to this all candidates meeting, and most of them were, okay, I was 207, I was 53 then, I'm 63 now. But when I looked at the audience there, it kind of was disheartening, not unexpected, but kind of disheartening. People, the average age in there was probably, I'm going to say around 60. And so I'm looking down at this group of people that showed up, and I'm thinking, this is relatively small considering, the town's about 7,500 people. There may have been, 60, 70 people there, which is, 1% of the population. And, but then once we got into this, and, the Green Party candidate had been running around here showing the Al Gore Inconvenient Truth movie, and is a member of a depopulation group, and I knew her from this movie she'd been running around. But once these people started talking, these candidates, because I didn't know what I was getting into, I just started chuckling to myself. I'm dealing with a bunch of idiots on both sides, and that's what really saddened me, was that the audience was licking up this nonsense coming out of these politicians' mouths like it meant something. And that very first all candidates meeting, I got the most applause in the room. Because at one point because this is a rural area, and they want the rural vote and all this, and rural Canada is important, rural Ontario is important unless we're in the city, then the city's important, unless we're over here, then that's important, and they were yammering on about how much each party was going to invest in the agricultural system in rural Ontario, because that's the backbone, and all this nonsense. And so they kept, puking out numbers. Our party will invest this much, our party will invest that much, It's all the same soundbite, little different numbers, but the same soundbites. And they got to me, and this really freaked me, because here I am, an independent, not with a party, and I have absolutely no influence anywhere, even if I was elected. I still don't have a voice in there. So when they got to me, I'm listening to all these numbers being spewed, And I picked this ridiculously large number. I don't remember what it was, but it was considerably more than what the party candidates were puking out. And I don't know what it was, 3.2 billion or something, that I would instantly invest into rural Ontario. Well, Jesus, the applause that came out of the audience was amazing. You know, and then I told the people, I said, look it, I have no capacity to write you a check for anything. And neither do these people, okay? These people are just screwing with your head looking for your vote. Now, how many times have we been through this where these politicians come to rural Ontario and say, we're going to do this for you, and what percentage of that money ever gets into the hand of a farmer, right? 25 cents on the dollar, maybe? And I had some farmers said, no, because by the time the smoke all clears, we owe them money through taxes and stuff. So, oh, there you go. You're being deceived. So it's all about strengthening your fellow man or woman's mind, spine, and spirit, because we're going to have to get some strong people, and we got to get them from wherever we can get them. Look at these elections as a recruitment process, okay? You know, pay attention and keep an eye on who you think you can use or is workable, and hook up with them. Right? We're just not stepping up to the plate at all. Not at all. Now I'll tell you how bad elections are. I got a notice from Sudbury. Where did that go? Now here's this guy's name. And she put this in. I don't know where this came from. This is the rulers are. I don't know if she wants me to read this or not, but I'm gonna. I don't know who wrote it. The rulers are faggot Jew pedophiles trying to destroy humanity. I am just sick after seeing this garbage. This article is on social media. Facebook is used to data mine personal information, label, categorize, as well as steer the herd in their favorite direction, which is not good. Now this is what is this? Daily Mail. Feels different, feels like hairless, straight man touch guy, penis time, awkward video. Watch straight man touch 3 heteros. Daily Mail, fucking pig. Zuckerman is a Jew. Oh yeah, and Facebook allows what information they want. Seen, trust me, this bullshit is years ahead of us. Actually, I am beginning to think that the truth tellers were allowed to get this far in order to help find others bait. But anyway, she put in a thing here about Tay Butt, the new NDP. Oh no, this is Tay Butt. Now he's the Liberal candidate in the upcoming Ontario election. I'm going to read a little bit about him real quick because it's important. Hopefully, it will get people to say, "Jesus, we can't have people like that running around without any pushback." I just wrote back after I read this guy's bio. I said, "Geez, Sudbury must be dancing in the streets." Tay has it all. What's Tay's slogan? It's up the butt for Sudbury, because Tay's last name is Butt. I was just trying to be a little bit humorous there. I don't know if that worked or not, but I'm just going to run on this guy for a second, and this is the kind of garbage that is being not that all of the political parties have the same kind of garbage running for them. And we're not stepping up to the plate. We're not going to the game, you know. And like I keep saying, we got to get out of the position of being in the audience, and that's what children do. They go to the show, they go to the audience, they go to the game, and then when you grow up, you go to the show, you go to the game. You never get out of the frickin' child position. So, Tay Butt is acclaimed as Ontario's Grits candidate in the Nickel Belt. That's the greater region of Sudbury, which again has been regionalized, socialized, or Sovietized, as they're doing all over our nation. This is a great little story because it gives you an idea of, because you see, the party picks the candidates. The people don't pick the candidates. So they pick a candidate for each color of each party, and then they go and they spew off their nonsense, and maybe you like the way this one's dressed or that one's hair or whatever, and that's who you vote for. But you're voting for somebody a party picked. You're not voting for anybody you picked. You don't know nothing about these people you're voting for. And they're all vetted by the party. So, you know, people aren't really bright. Anyways, I'll read this. It's very short. The Ontario Liberals have a candidate in Nickel Belt after a short but sweet nomination meeting on October 14th. Tay Butt, a technology consultant and former Cambrian College instructor, was the sole candidate, the only one that stepped forward seeking the nomination. He said in a news release that he's excited to be flying the flag of a party, not the flag of a people, but a flag of a party, in his view, has worked hard for Northern Ontario. I'm excited and honored to be carrying the Liberal flag in June 2018 provincial election, Butt said. Premier Kathleen Wynne has always prioritized and supported Northern Ontario and will help with the help of passionate, effective local MPPs from the North. I want to join her team to provide our riding with a strong voice in Queen's Park. Not the People's Park, the Queen's Park. And who do these clowns take an oath to serve? The Queen. And what is the Queen? The Queen's a corporation. See, are you involved in this election at all? No, you're not. Okay? It's their party. It's their park. Okay? And you think you're involved in this somehow. You know, you got to run and have some fun, folks. The news release highlighted Butt's community work, including, you ready for this? Including serving on the Sudbury Diversity Advisory Panel, the Race Relations Committee, the Greater Sudbury Police, the Local Immigration Partnership, and the Sudbury Multicultural and Folk Art Association. Well, good luck with that, Sudbury. Butt has also volunteered with the Canadian Cancer Society, the Heart and Stroke Foundation, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's the recipient of the Ontario Volunteer Service Award. Glenn Thibault gave his endorsement to Butt as well. Now, Thibault used to be with the NDP, was offered a better deal over the Liberals, so there is, how much he cares about parties. This is about power. This is about everything but running your province or your country or your county in a honest way. Okay, you're not even involved in any of this stuff. Everyone that has worked with Tay knows that he is a strong leader and a dedicated advocate for his community and Northern Ontario as a whole. Besides a bachelor's degree in mathematics and a master's degree in English, Butt is also a Cisco and Microsoft certified system engineer and database administrator. He and his wife have 4 children and a grandchild, and they've lived in Greater Sudbury for nearly 30 years. Now, this is not the guy that you want to be in charge of anything. everything that they're playing him up on is wrong. It's no different than last night when Chris dropped that little village outside of Montreal bomb in my lap about the transgendered mayor of that particular community, and it's played up like they said it's a great step forward. To where? The abyss? I mean, so I'm gonna run in 2018, which is June 17th election. I will be running as an independent in the provincial politics, and then in the fall of 2018, I will be running for mayor of my community. And why? Because it's got to be done. Okay, it has to be done. And if we don't do it, then they're going to run over us because there's no pushback. We have no voice in the elections. And if we don't bring our voice to that, which is an open invitation, if we don't accept that invitation, then it goes always back to that damn silence is consent. If we're silent, then we consent to goomers like this, who is just bringing, everything that is mentioned about him in here is Babylon. And we're just going to sit back and say nothing and do nothing, and then we all lose. It really irritates me. I'm getting kind of irritated by that. People say, Trudeau's an idiot. No, we're the idiots. No, we are. This is how childlike men and women have become. It's like barking at one another in the schoolyard. Your mother wears army boots. You're an idiot. And no, we're the idiots. And people can't seem to bring themselves to understand that. We are the idiots. Or, as the Jews say to the Goyim, which they class us as, we're idiots. We're the chattel, we're the cattle, we're the fools. We keep allowing ourselves to be deceived. Take heed, no man deceive you, but we continually allow ourselves to be deceived. Well, how can you have a good outcome if you're always being defrauded or frauded? How do you get a good outcome out of that? It's impossible. Now they're about to start big time, and they're going to start here. They've already setting everything in place to go, and I would imagine in the provincial election, which is all rural here where I am, there'll be all kinds of positive spin about bringing in newcomers. That's what they call newcomers, to help bring our economy up and all this kind of stuff. I'm sure there'll be tons of that nonsense going on, because it's in 2007 when I ran, they were pushing the windmill nonsense through, and the Gardasil vaccines and all that kind of stuff. Then now they're going to be pushing the immigration in here, pushing both of them as a great positive for our communities. Well, no, that's not what the truth, but this is what they're going to be pushing. So it's a great opportunity to have just all kinds of fun with these stupid candidates. I mean, we know what the hell we're talking about. They don't. Okay? They don't know squat. I'll guarantee you that none of these politicians have ever done any research. They only know what was fed to them. They're only regurgitating during the election what was told them to regurgitate. And that leaves them wide open. And you can make them look like fools so fast, it's rather humorous. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't jump on that just for the sheer hellry of it, for the fun part of it. You know, this is a lot more fun than going on a roller coaster, buddy. This is fun because you actually have the capacity to really mess with their little puppet strings. You know, when they think they're supposed to dance, you got them standing in the corner scratching their head, going, "What the hell am I into here?" It's fun. It really, truly is fun. Look at it as a little walk down a psychological road, you know, where you know when they don't. It's fun, you know. So that's what I'm going to be doing anyways in June. And I'll be doing it again in the fall, October, November, whenever the municipal elections come along. I will be doing it. Now, just while we're on some of this stuff, I've seen this thing go by, I don't know how many freaking times now, and it was sent to me again this morning. So let's take a look at it. And this particular thing is this is what one illegal refugee gets. I don't know why that kicks over like that. I gotta make this bigger now. What the hell? Okay, let me just pop this up a little bit so I can read it. I've seen this more than a few times. I never bothered with it really, but this morning it came again, and it came from somebody I appreciate, so what the hell, eh? This resettlement assistant program, and a name on here, Al Jahoni Massa. This is apparently the money that these immigrants collect. And it's quite amazing, you know. It says family size 5. It's got the names and or the file numbers and that stroked out, client ID stroked out. Startup allowances, staples $475, clothing $650, adults 18 plus $325, dependents minus 18 $250. Telephone installation $45, transportation for appointments $30, and that first subtotal rings up to $1950 per month. Allowance for dependent children $150. Regular monthly benefits, food and incidentals $401. Basic needs addition for 18-year-old, and then rent $750, transportation $245. That subtotal is up to $1399, and then a loan for security deposit, loan document, whatever that is, comes to $375. So the total initial check is $3,874. It says, I understand that this check is issued under the terms and conditions of the Resettlement Assistance Program, and that any money I receive must be spent for settlement purposes for which I was intended, or it was intended. I acknowledge there is no provision for replacing misused or lost money. I will open a bank account immediately and deposit these funds until they are required. And that says January 28, 2016. So if I back out of that, and I don't know, you know, I know this irritates people. Where's the out button on it? Oh. And I'm not even 100% sure that this is exactly. I got to go back and read the the beginning of this. Says this is what one illegal refugee gets with the federal assistance program, 3,874 per month. Now, I don't know if that's monthly. I don't know if that it says a resettlement assistance program. Now, maybe that is monthly, but regardless, you know, that's pretty close to $1,000 a week, and there's all kinds of people in this country that are working hard that are not making $1,000 a week. This looks like take home, and even if you were making $1,000 a week, you wouldn't be taking home $1,000 a week. That's for sure. So I guess the point of this is that, and I haven't phoned. Normally, I haven't had time. I guess I should do this: is phone the resettlement assistance program and get the lowdown on this. And that's what I really encourage people to do. You know, you get stuff like this flying around the internet, gets people all worked up and excited. And you know, did anybody phone to find out what exactly is going on? Right? You know, or are we just taking stuff and just flying it around here without qualifying anything? So I'll probably phone them and see exactly how much money these people get, and is it per month, and for how long does it last, and so on and so forth. But I suppose the point is that, you know, they want to bring in 1 million, basically 1 million. There'll be a lot more than 1 million. It'll probably be 2 million, because they want to bring 1 million through the front door, which means probably the same amount or more is going to come through the window, through the side door, through the back door, you know, because we have all these sanctuary cities. You don't have to come through the front door. So how many people are coming in? I don't know. How many do we need to stop from coming in? All of them. But if you take this, you know, call it $4,000 a month per entry, times 1 million through the front door over the next 3 years. Do you see how much money they're pulling out of your pocket? Okay. Now, where's the money coming from? Is it being borrowed against these new people, these new so-called citizens? Because you're used for surety on debt. Okay. So, is that how they're doing it? I'm not so sure, because in Islam, like in Jewry, they got a problem with interest. Okay, and they were already making home loans and that for Muslims and that, doing a workaround on the idea of paying interest, because they don't it's against their religion to pay interest. Now, I may just have gotten a good piece of information here. Isn't the internet a wonderful tool, really? I mean, I have, I did spend time going through the dusty old reference books way back in the day, and it was a lot of freaking work. And I was just talking about this piece, and you know, if it's real or back up, and oh, look at this, I get sent to me financial help, refugees. So we'll take a boo at that and see what that has to say. The internet is, you know, I just look at the internet as a toolbox, right? And most people don't use the internet as a toolbox. They don't know the tools, and you know, they just, and that was my biggest fear when the internet first fired up. I loved it because it was easy to find documents, and well, not that easy, but you could go and look for what you were looking for. And I said way back, that, what they're going to do with this internet is they're going to turn it into the same thing as a TV set or a movie house, and people will just not use the internet for what it really is. It's a hell of a research tool, but they've kind of gone by that. Okay, anyways, Government of Canada, financial help refugees. The Canadian government has several programs to help refugees settle in their new home. Resettlement Assistance Program. The Government of Canada gives resettlement help to convention refugees abroad. In some cases, they offer this help to members of the country of asylum class who have been identified as refugees with special needs and admitted to Canada as government-assisted refugees. If you claim refugees protection from inside Canada, you're not eligible for this program. These funds are used to help pay for meeting you at the airport or port of entry, a temporary place to live, help finding a permanent place to live, basic household items, and general help with life in Canada. You can also use the money for income support for up to 1 year or until you can support yourself, whichever comes first. So I like this one here at the beginning, though. Meeting you at the airport or port of entry, which these funds are used to help pay for meeting you at the airport or port of entry. Now, that brings up a question: are the police that are standing down at these really unmarked borders and that, who are supposed to be, not letting people in that aren't supposed to be here, are they being paid like a special fund for meeting these so-called refugee migrants at a port of entry? Because it says they'll pay for it. Anyways, the Immigration Loans Program helps refugees resettled from overseas pay for travel documents and transportation to Canada. Loans are approved according to your needs and ability to repay. Loans may also be available to other newcomers to Canada to cover expenses such as rental housing, telephone deposits, and work tools. Interest is charged on immigration loans. The Department of Finance sets the interest rate each January, repaying your immigration loan. At any time, if you cannot repay your loan, you can ask us to review your repayment plan. If you have questions or want to ask us to review your repayment plan, contact us by calling. Clearly describe your situation. Be clear about exactly what you'd like us to consider. Include your payee number, location in the bottom right section of your statement so that we can access your file. We can only discuss your immigration loan. You can find information on other topics such as permanent residence cards, application status, travel online documents, and so on and so forth. So if you are, what is this? Newcomer services in your area. Let me click on this. Now, from what I understand, is an awful lot of these people coming in here can't even speak English. So I don't know how you're going to communicate with them for their loan repayment plan. I have no idea. But it says there that we're pay for your flight over here, or pay for your transportation to Canada. I don't know what that's costing. But we're on the hook for the whole show here. We have veterans and people and children and families living on the street more and more and more every freaking day. And we're bringing these immigrants in here, migrants in here, and funding. That money should be going to our people, but it's not. It's going to the new people. Why do we need to have new people? Well, because we didn't have children, because we were told that the world was overpopulated and that everybody had to stop having children, except the people that they're migrating in here now are having like average 8 kids, 9 kids, whatever it is. And so the reason the migrants are coming is our fault, and we have to pay for it because we didn't keep up our reproduction situation going. Find free newcomer services near you. Friendly, experienced settlement professionals can help you. Well, who's paying these friendly and experienced settlement professionals if the service is free? Obviously, you are. They'll help you look for a job, get a language assessment, register for language classes, find a place to live, fill out forms and applications, sign up your kids for school, learn about community services. Well, Jesus. A lot of these services would be good for Canadians, I suppose. This bad. It is very, very bad. Who's clicking here? I'm hearing. Anyways, I want to thank Dee for this stuff. There's so much stuff here. Newcomer Services, Immigration Access Fund Canada. That's in Calgary. Access Employment in Markham. Algonquin College of Applied Arts and Technology. Ottawa. Algonquin Lakeshore Catholic School District Board. Belleville. Association Canadian whatever. Kingston, Ontario. Chris, you could run down there and see what they're up to. But these are all outfits that will, I guess, newcomer services. And I see here, you can hit next, and I see this list goes up to 208 freaking pages. Oops. That's a lot of help, eh? But our people, I think, could go live on the street, I suppose. Lots of Catholic services. But this list just goes on and on and on. Who's paying for all this stuff? Who the hell is paying for all this stuff? I should put this in here. You may find somewhere that you might want to go find some assistance. Oh, that's what I want to look up. Now, the Jewish Family Services, Catholic Family Services, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to throw this in the chat anyways, and you can look around at it. This is stuff that you don't see in the newspaper. I mean, it's all wrote down. It's all there. You know, nobody ever goes to read it. Now, there's one interesting thing that I saw. Well, I saw a lot of interesting stuff this week, but one in particular about the city of Toronto creating internships, but only for Muslims. Now, I got to see if I can find that, because it's rather, well, I don't know what you call it, funny, but the connections are all there. Let me see if I can dig this out quick. This is not, I mean, they've taken they're taking our country on us, and we're paying for it. I mean, if you were standing back looking at this from outside, you go, "What the hell's wrong with those people?" Just let me see if I can. Oh, here it is. that damn rebel again. Anyways, Toronto funding Muslim-only youth fellowship internship positions. That's Pamela Geller. See if we can find something other than. I'm looking for something. Creeping Sharia. Yeah, there's a site I've never seen. Creeping Sharia. WordPress.com. I'd like trying to find something that has a mainstream. Okay, let's try this. Here's a PDF. Toronto legal documents. Okay. Report for action. This is Toronto authorization of agreement to fund a Muslim youth fellowship internship program in counselors' offices. This report seeks City Council authorization for the City Clerk to enter into an agreement with Urban Alliance on race relations and partnership with the Dawanet in order to receive funding to support 13 part-time positions created in counselors' offices to support the Muslim Youth Fellowship internship program. The report is time-sensitive as the program started in September 2017 and the placements in the counselor's office are scheduled to start January 2018. Recommendations: the City Clerk recommends that one City Council authorize the City Clerk to enter an agreement with the Urban Alliance or Race Relations to receive funding for 13 counselors' aides positions in counselor's office for 12 hours a week for a period of 12 weeks. Financial impact: there is no net financial impact resulting from the adoption of the recommendation in this report. The funds required to fund the 13 counselors' aides positions is estimated $32,000. Funding is in the amount of approximately $22,000 provided by the Urban Alliance on Race Relations in partnership with Dawanet Social Development Finance and Administration will provide the remaining funding in the amount of $10,000. The acting chief financial officer has reviewed this report and agrees with the financial financial impact information. Decision history: at its meeting in October 2, 3, and 4, 2017, City Council adopted MM 32.20 supporting a Muslim Youth Fellowship internship program at Counselor's Office, directing staff to work with organizers of the Muslim Youth Fellowship in order to support its program for counselor aid position counsels in counselors' offices. Further to the recommendation of the City Council, City Clerk's Office and Social Development Finance Administration have worked with the organizers of the Muslim Youth Fellowship to support its program for counselors' aid positions in the Council's office. The Muslim Youth Program is a program hosted by the Urban Alliance on Race Relations partnership with Dawanet. The program was designed in order to increase participation and civic engagement among Muslim youth. The fellowship started in September 2017 with a cohort of 13 fellows. Members of this first cohort include undergraduate, post-secondary students, graduate students, and recent graduates. The program will include 13 internships, counselor's office, yada, yada, yada. And there's contact Kelly McCarthy, Acting Deputy City Clerk, Strategic Integration, and Excellent City Clerk's Office. And we have the signatures not there, of course. But so that is that's from the clerk's office, I guess. So I'd rather go to here to read the stuff than Ezra Levent, who's a Jew lawyer. I mean, I trust not. And Geller, I haven't spent much time around Geller. Maybe that's on the up and up. But I would much rather go find the documents, which took all of couple of seconds. And but see, here's another example of them infiltrating your city government. Now, these people, these graduates, undergraduates, are being brought into the councils to work with the counselors as aides in order to vet them and bring them forward at a later date as candidates for city council or provincial positions, enemies inside the gate. Now, John Tory, who's the mayor of Toronto, is hooked up with Bernie Farber, who was the head of the Jewish Congress, who writes for the Canadian Jewish News, who is the head of Mosaic Institute, Bernie Farber is, who these people are all hooked up. So Bernie Farber, being what I just described as a top Jew in Canada, is defending Muslims who I have a piece on my on my Facebook or whatever. Okay, I'm getting hammered by Dee here. She's got some stuff going at me here. Joint Assistance Sponsorship Program. Okay, so she's digging this stuff up. That's good. And this all has to be dealt with. But a lot of people get irritated by some of the things I say or some of the things I post. But I just try to tie stuff together. I'm not making any of this shit up, right? Okay. Here is, I am accused of Jew hatred, was treated unfairly, says Bernie Farber, ex-head of the Jewish Congress, writes for the Jewish News, head of the Mosaic Institute, which had a big party with John Tory and Justin Trudeau, PM, and this is Bernie Farber, Jews ahead of this, and all praising the Muslim mayor of Calgary. Ooh. But anyways, this is a quick story. Why is Bernie Farber, ex-head of the Canadian Jewish Congress and head of the Mosaic Institute and writer for the Canadian Jewish News, defending an imam? Simple answer. The Jews are working with and promoting Islam and Muslims. The Mosaic Institute honors Muslim Mayor Naheed Nenshi, Peace Patron Dinner 2017. Now, apparently what this imam, I can never say that damn word because it's not a good word. Maybe that's why I have such a difficult time with some of these words. This is not good for us. And maybe I have a hard time getting them out of my face because of that. But this Muslim says, count their number, slay them one by one, and spare not one of them. O Allah, purify Al-Aqsa mosque from the filth of the Jews. O Allah, purify the mosque from the filth of the Jews. And this is Imam Al-Aqsa or whatever, 2016. Ryerson University should reopen its investigation into the case of a teaching assistant who was fired last winter for remarks he made while leading prayers in a mosque. Now, what we have is Bernie Farber, a Jew, coming up and saying that, well, wait a minute, that was taken out of context or something, right? Now understand, the guys at the top, at the very top, make no mistake about it, they're going after what they want, and then there's total control over all resources and all peoples on the planet. And they will sacrifice their own in order to get there. These are the most evil, amoral slugs that have ever been put on the planet. And people go, well, you know, why would a Jew, if this Muslim said this about the Jews, why would a Jew come and say, well, you took it out of context or something? Because they will sacrifice their own, okay, to keep you screwed up. Now, the Mosaic Institute, you can just Google that in there, and you will find that there's Bernie Farber, and you will find the peace dinner for Naheed Nenshi, who is the third-term mayor of Calgary, which I still can't believe. Is that possible? But that last election, I was fairly involved in it from this end. I would have loved to have been in Calgary, but couldn't get there. If you understand how these things play out, this election was a complete and total fraud from the get-go. And when you have the Prime Minister pushing and the Mayor of Toronto pushing, you know you ain't getting a straight election. And all of these other people, the Jews, they want this guy back in. And they got him back in by hook or by crook. And it's mostly by crook. So that's just a little bit about that. I'm just gonna go look at this last thing that Dee sent me here. But make no mistake, like I said last night, you go and you read the Cairo Declaration. And if I still have that open, I should put that back in the chat today. A paper that I have from, I think it's University of Michigan, which really lays it out. It's only 100 pages long. It's not long. You know, if you can't read 100 pages, then, you know, maybe you want to go be an assistant for Scheer, the guy that's going to run for federal prime minister in the next election against Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau being a drama teacher and a snowboard instructor, and Andrew Scheer for the conservative side, who his claim to fame is that he's an absolute expert on the Simpsons cartoon show. So those are your choices really for the next federal election in Canada. A drama queen, snowboard teacher versus a expert on the Simpsons cartoon show. Ooh, lucky us. See, they brought this all into, this is all so far out of reality. Last night, I think after the show, me and Chris were talking a little bit, and I actually went and got the caterpillar smoking the hookah out of Alice in Wonderland, and said, you might as well put this guy up as a candidate, because everything has so far away from reality these days. Everything is so what's the word? Fictional. You know, when you have the main newspaper in your country yelling in these huge fonts that because some transgender won the mayor's seat in some little shitbox village outside of Montreal, that this is a huge step forward, you know you're in Wonderland. So we might as well bring the hookah boy up, the caterpillar, which is probably just as good a candidate for prime minister as a drama queen skateboard or snowboard instructor, or up against the guy whose claim to fame seems to be he knows everything about, there's not even the most minute detail about the Simpsons that this Andrew Scheer can't seem to bring forward. So, you know, if we're gonna just live in this fictional world, let's get some real fictional characters in there, huh? So I'm voting for the blue caterpillar with the hookah. I do believe he'd make a wonderful prime minister, a global prime minister, maybe even. Anyways, back to this stuff. What is the Joint Assistance Sponsorship Program? The JSAS, Jazz. Under this program, sponsorship agreement holders work with us to provide additional settlement support to government-assisted refugees with special needs. Joint assistance sponsorship. Refugees receive help under the Resettlement Assistance Program, such as services at the port of entry. And they do get services because I do recall seeing a video where the police were actually carrying the luggage of the migrants who came into Canada illegally. So they provide bellhop service, assistance with arrival procedures and onward flight and other transportation agreements. Joint assistance sponsorship refugees also receive income support from the government of Canada for up to 24 months, depending on their circumstances. We provide income support for food, shelter, clothing, and essential household goods. Well, I think there's a great number of people, a growing number of people in this country who would just love to have some support for food, shelter, clothing, and essential household goods. I'm talking about the ever-growing number of people who are living in makeshift camps, in parks, and along rivers, bypasses in this country. When I see, you know, I've lived all over this country, and you know, when I see like Langley, BC, which is in the Fraser Valley, you know, people living in tents and that just boggles my mind. You know, when I lived out in the West Coast, which was up to about around 80, the only homeless people you saw were the drug addicted people that were living down on East Hastings, right? And that was about it, you know. And now there's homeless shelters everywhere. There's food banks everywhere. They're overflowing. They can't keep up. The people are the rents have gone through the freaking roof out there. People can't afford to keep a roof over their head, and they end up in these tent camps and that, of which the police come and dismantle because they're unsightly. And meanwhile, the government will support you with food, shelter, clothing, and essential household goods if you just show up here. But if you've been here your whole life and you run on hard times, not because you weren't trying, because they made it impossible for you to keep your head above water anymore, you are, what do you get, $500 a month or something for everything? Maybe $6. They're also matched with a private sponsoring group who will provide help adjusting to life in Canada, significant settlement assistance, and emotional support. Now, I don't believe any of our Canadian people, veterans included, people with mental illness, people who have lost their jobs, I don't believe that they're getting any emotional support or significant settlement assistance, whatever that should mean. So they got all this stuff, who's eligible, who's not, and who's paying for all this stuff. Well, the government is. Well, no, they're not, because the government doesn't have any money. That's one thing people don't understand about the government. Is that the government's going to fund this. With what? With what? They don't have a bank. They don't print money. So when the government says it's going to spend X amount on whatever, where the hell is that money coming from? It's coming out of your pocket. Now, if they should go and spend a whole lot of money and just say, okay, we're going to Well, these 4 Muslim guys, they were tortured or something for trying to blow something up or whatever they were doing. And I feel bad for them. So the government's just going to write them a check for $10 million a pop. And people get mad, right? They go, that's bull crap. But they never seem to understand that money's coming out of your pocket. Okay, you're on the hook for this at interest. And it takes more than a couple hours to pay out $40 million. I forget what it is that we pay out every day in interest. Every day. I don't know if I'll be able to dig this up, but maybe. We'll see if it spits something out here for us. Let's see. It is. I would think this is $7,000 per man, woman, and child. This is from the Fraser Institute. So it says here that the interest payments on the federal debt will total $25 billion, which is more than what Ottawa plans to spend on transfer to Canadian families in the form of child benefits. And these substantial payments exist despite historically low interest rates, right? So even though the interest rate is basically non-existent at this point, we're on the hook for $25 billion per year. And that is only on the federal debt. Now, I know that the province of Ontario is 300 plus billion in the hole. So you add that interest payment, and then you paying your taxes on your house, your county taxes, your water taxes, your garbage taxes, your tax, and you get an idea of how deeply they've dug into your pocket while you're out there slugging away. So when the government says, we're going to send, a couple $100 million to some overseas country to dig a well, I mean, the amount of this money that's being siphoned off into pockets is ridiculous. I mean, the federal government gave $728 million. Okay, that's over $728 million to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and whatever else, malaria. To the Global Fund, and people go, well, that's a lot of money. Well, yeah, but it's going to fight, malaria and tuberculosis and stuff like that. So I guess it's a worthy cause. But then, what's it called? McAfee? Is that what it's called? Where you can trace all this stuff. When I went and looked at the Global Fund, it has a direct line from the Global Fund. The money came from the federal government, which doesn't have any money, so the money came out of your pocket at interest, went down to the Global Fund, and then bounced off the Global Fund and went north over to the Clinton Foundation. Oops. So the amount of money, when they send money to wherever it is they say they're sending it, for whatever good cause they're sending it, you can bet your bottom dollar that the vast majority of that money is being siphoned off into pockets that it should not be going into. I mean, where was that? Was that Haiti or whatever it was, where all of this money was collected and they built 6 shacks or something with X amount of money? I mean, this is all being filtered out of your country, out of your pocket. You're on the hook for it, and that money's being used for nefarious purposes, like to take your country down from the inside or the outside through the migration. And this is stuff that we have to understand and engage in. I don't know what it's going to take for people to say, wait a minute, that's my money you're sending over there. You didn't ask me. Well, you voted for us. No, we didn't. No, we didn't vote for you. The party picked you. And we voted for a party. So we really didn't vote for anything. There's a very nice mob, and I was telling somebody today that I would rather deal with the mafia, because at least when you're dealing with the mafia, they're straight up with you, okay? They're far, 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 far more honest to deal with than the government. You sit down, I guess. I never sat down with the mafia, but I'm thinking this is basically how it would work. We would sit down, we would work out a deal, we each fulfill our obligations in the deal, or somebody's going to get hurt. Pretty straightforward stuff. It's a code. It's basically a moral code. We made a moral obligation to do what we agreed, and this is how it's going to be, and that's it. Where the government, by definition, is amoral. And they will lie and deceive and use trickery to suck you in, or just straight out lie to you. And you're always on the hook. Always on the hook. If we had every nickel and dime back that was spent wrongly over the years, we likely wouldn't have any debt. And nobody's held accountable. This is the kicker. Nobody's held accountable. And why are they not held accountable? Well, it says we were given responsible government. We didn't create it, it was given to us. That should kind of spook you right out of there. Who gave it to us, and for what purpose? But it says that we were given responsible government, but the word responsible in responsible government does not have the dictionary definition of the word responsible. Whoa, what the hell did you just tell me? So you tell us you gave us responsible government, but the word responsible doesn't have the dictionary meaning of the word responsible when used in responsible government. Whoa. Well, the only other thing, if you look at it, you have to say, okay, well, who's responsible? Well, the responsible party is one that's liable, chargeable, accountable. Well, who would that be? Well, that would be you and I. Well, if we're the responsible party, then who's the irresponsible party? One who is not held accountable, liable, or chargeable. Well, that would be the government. So they do whatever the hell they want, spend the money whatever way they want, coerce you into whatever they want, and we're the responsible party. We're on the hook for it. Right? We are the surety for the debt. And we are liable for the debt. And we're accountable for the debt. And these happy little party members just play this stupid game on us, and we just keep getting suckered, and we never push back. And like Chris said earlier, it doesn't take that much to stand up. And these people are always worried that we're going to wake up one day and go, what the hell has been going on here? It's like it's like that whatever it is, that little fictional story of Rip Van Winkle, who slept for 40 years and then woke up and went, what the hell is this? And that's basically where we are. If we had been asleep, I mean, completely knocked out all this time, and then just woke up now, we'd be going, what the hell's going on? But they do this incrementally, so they normalize things. So while we may bitch and complain a little bit about it, they keep bringing the next thing forward. We forget about what we were bitching about in the first place, and then we start bitching about this, and then they bring next thing, we bitch about that and forget about that, and they normalize this as they go. So all of a sudden, a transgendered mayor in a small village outside of Quebec is groundbreaking. I mean, come on, people. We got to straighten up our act here. There's a gazillion other things that I could talk about today, but thankfully for me and you and everyone else, we're running out of time. I didn't get Liza in here. I didn't see her today. Maybe I'll get her on Tuesday night or whatever. I think she's still trying to... she was amazed by what happened yesterday at that event in Toronto. Hadn't seen that many white people in one spot for she was spooked by it. Actually, it seemed surreal, even though it used to be normal. Okay, being in a place with that many white people, that many young white people in one place in Toronto seems surreal because it's not normal anymore. And that's how far wrong we've gone. What was normal seems abnormal now, and what was abnormal seems normal. And we've allowed them to do this to us. And we have to make it stop. So anyways, Hal's on at 3, and he will clue you in, I'm sure, some more. This is all about basically working together to make people as strong as it possibly can. You know, as far where I sit, we have a duty to our forefathers, and we have a duty to the children, grandchildren, those not born in that. I think what we've done is we've made the mistake of making us the important party. It's about us. It's not about us. We're only here for a while, you know, and our forefathers, it wasn't about them, okay? It was about you. It was about a free, moral future. And that was allowed to slip away. Now they've made the society so it's about you. You're what's important. You aren't really important, okay? What's important is you do something while you're here. Okay? Think of your forefathers. Think of their struggles. Think of those who are going to come after you and what kind of a mess they're going to have to deal with. And that we can actually stop this and turn it around. So we have a duty. And we need to step up and accept that we have a duty. Because what people are saying today by not being engaged in this is they don't give a damn about their forefathers, and they don't give a damn about the children, grandchildren, those not yet born. And that's a really pathetic place to be as far as I'm concerned. Because what you said is you don't give a damn about anything. And, you know, I hear people, you know, my age and younger, oh, by the time they get us all together, I'll be dead and gone. You're already dead, you son of a bitch, right? You're brain dead. You're gutless, and you're worth nothing. Now, I'm looking for the people, you know, that aren't gutless. I'm looking for the people that got a spine. And that's all we should all be looking for. This beautiful land that we call home is being overrun. And we need to step up to the plate. So we're going to hear music shortly. Chris, thanks for calling in. Sorry I got on a go here. And I want to thank Dee for sending some of this stuff. And I guess it's over for the music. Thanks for listening. I thought it was back Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for the war.